Oṣòdì aṣáájú ẹ̀ ọbẹ̀ ọ̀dọ́pẹ̀ ẹ̀. Àyàbá aṣáájú ẹ̀ ọbẹ̀ ọ̀dọ́pẹ̀ ẹ̀. Àlàyé aṣáájú ẹ̀ ọbẹ̀ ọ̀dọ́pẹ̀ ẹ̀. Ẹgbẹ̀júwà.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we are seeing on the stage is the Koro Cultural Princess Event. On the other side, we have the Gymnastic Boys. Gymnastic Boys, you don't know what we want to do now. We are bringing upstairs. We are at the first floor. You don't know if we are going to do the second floor. This is the Koro Cultural Always.
ITV, certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
Love, they say it's a beautiful thing. People generally want to love people and be loved in return. And this certainly includes persons with disability. On the program today, our focus will be on the conversation we started last week, disability, dating, and marriage for persons with disability. And last week, our guest was Gift Ezeani. She was on the program and she was indeed a delight. Today promises to be super exciting as well, as our guest today is from a different cluster within the disability community. She is a hearing impaired person or a deaf person. She is going to be giving us her perspective about what dating, marriage, the concept of love, what does it mean for a deaf person. Last week, we got a perspective of someone with visual impairment. Today, our perspective will be from the lens of a deaf person. This is how I'd like to welcome you to the program Hitches and Voices on independent television and radio. My name is Kingsley Okoje, and my sign language interpreter for today is Cynthia Godwin Aya. We'll go to the show proper, but before we do so, let me quickly introduce my guest properly. Her name is Millicent Ogbodu. She is a staff with the Edo State Civil Service. Millicent, welcome to Hitches and Voices.
Thank you.
All right, I'll start by asking the very first question. There's this, notion or perception that people have about the deaf, that the deaf do not trust other persons apart from themselves. Is that exactly true?
Yes, it is true. Yes.
Oh, you mean deaf people find it hard to trust other persons who are not deaf? And why so?
Why? The response is very, very clear. Because of communication. For example, if a deaf person, for instance, wants to get married to a hearing person, and that person does not understand sign language, how are they going to communicate? People with disability often depend on others to help them. So also, hearing impaired persons, they depend on the hearing persons to be their ears. But in most cases, the deaf find it difficult to trust the hearing because of communication gap. But if the hearing person understands their language, it becomes an easy thing.
Fantastic. So let's move to the subject of love, dating, and marriage proper now. This issue of communication that you raise, does it influence the kind of person a deaf person wants to be in a relationship with? The issue of sign language?
They would prefer, because of that communication gap, a deaf person would always prefer to date a fellow deaf person. For instance, if a hearing person is communicating with a deaf person, and peradventure, even if he's a deaf as well, assuming they are in the room and there is no light, how will they communicate? So that's just our own little way of illustrating communication gap between the hearing and the deaf. The deaf will always prefer 100% to date. The deaf will prefer to date a fellow deaf person than a hearing person, so that they won't be in the dark at any point.
So what if you have someone who is not deaf, who is not hearing impaired, but understands sign language? Would a deaf person want to be in a relationship with that kind of a person?
Yes, I have but on very rare occasions. I have a friend who is deaf but got married to a hearing person, although the mother of the boy is also deaf. So you can see that it's still the deaf community. So, but in most cases, the deaf prefer to get married to a fellow deaf person. That couple now that I said got married to a deaf person that got married to a hearing person, the family is doing well and they are okay.
All right. It is very obvious from what you've said that marrying within the deaf community is prevalent. Deaf persons prefer marrying within their community rather than finding love outside. But if someone who can understand sign language is available, a deaf person wouldn't mind engaging in a relationship with that person. I think that's the sense you've made.
Yes, she said yes.
All right. I know people are a bit curious. People would want to know if a deaf person is in a relationship or goes into marriage with another deaf person and they have children, how would they communicate with their child? How would they raise their child such that it does not affect the speech of that child? People will be curious about that.
Most times, hearing impaired couple often have assistance from extended family members. like mother of the bride, mother of the groom, or any of their relation who can help probably to stay with them, or the children having to go and spend some time with those hearing persons to assist them, then in their own way, in the absence of all of these other persons, they can use the television, expose the children to sound from radio, from television, from cartoons, from phones, so that they can build their hearing and also learn how to talk.
So it's not a challenge if a deaf person is in a relationship with a deaf person and they give birth. It doesn't automatically mean that the child would start having speech defects. Because
No.
people have that notion.
No. That it is God that has made that. None of them, in most cases, have ever given birth to a deaf person. It is very, very rare, although they are there. But they always give birth to hearing persons, and they're able to train the children to hear and also to speak.
Fantastic. So, as a deaf person, she would have interacted with deaf persons who oftentimes try to find love. What is the most difficult thing they face in trying to find a partner? What are their challenges?
Okay, said in most cases, hearing impaired persons, they don't have challenge in having, in finding love. But she wants to understand if your question is for a deaf person to a deaf person, or a deaf person and a hearing person. Which of them?
Fantastic. So if it's for a deaf person, it's not quite difficult for them. But if it's for a hearing person, it's a bit challenging.
Yes, she wants to know.
Okay, but I'm asking generally.
Okay, it is only when it is deaf to a hearing person that they will have challenge because of sign language. But if it is deaf to deaf, they usually don't have challenges. Because of communication gap, there will be a challenge between the hearing person and the deaf person. And the same trust issue that she raised before will also be there.
All right. I would like to ask her a personal question. Before she got married, did she have any experience where a hearing person asked her out? And how did she handle that?
She said yes.
What was that experience like for her?
She said she even dated a hearing person before, but it was very, very difficult. I tried to force myself to understand his speech. When he's talking, I tried to lip read, but I mean, it was very frustrating and I wasn't feeling comfortable at all. Sometimes we try to write, but that takes a lot of time, and also it spoils my emotions. So I decided that I cannot marry a hearing person. I promised myself that I was going to marry a deaf person no matter what, that God will help me to raise my children. And that's where I am today. I am married to a deaf man from Benin. I have 4 kids, and we are happy together.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, we'll go on a quick break. We've been having a very interesting conversation with Millicent Odogwu, who's been sharing her experience with us, as perspective as far as love, dating, relationship, marriage for people with hearing impairment. When we'll come back from the break, we'll continue our conversation with Millicent. Welcome back from that break. If you've been following the program, you agree with me that we've been having a very exciting conversation with Millicent. She's been sharing her thoughts about love, marriage, and relationship for persons with hearing impairment. And for me, I've been having a nice time just listening to her. But I would also want to ask her a very important question. As deaf persons, what's your personal experience, or what have you noticed about the interference of other family members in your relationship?
Okay, for me, my personal experience has been a nice one. I'm very okay. My mother-in-law has been very helpful to me and my family.
So is it also important that people around you, your family, understand sign language as well?
No, they don't understand the standard sign language. We just use body gesture, and sometimes we write also. Most times we write. So we are able to understand each other.
Okay, we are in an era of technology now. I mean, technology has evolved over time. And I'm wondering within me, does technology help in any way to foster relationship between, whether it's a deaf stroke, a non-deaf person, or a deaf to a deaf person? Has technology helped the deaf community to enjoy love, to enjoy relationship, to enjoy marriage better?
Yes, it has been very helpful. That we're able to use WhatsApp to communicate, we're able to do video calls, and they have been very helpful, exchanging messages and pleasantries through technological gadgets, especially WhatsApp has been very helpful to deaf community. Yes.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm wondering within me that in an era where these things didn't exist, I'm sure somehow the deaf community still find way to, you know, find love, you know, amongst themselves. There's this perspective too that people oftentimes want to take advantage of deaf people, particularly the deaf ladies. What's our thoughts on that?
Well, it depends. It depends on the context you are looking at it from. But in most cases, yes, people take undue advantage of them still because of communication gap. Most young deaf ladies cannot communicate with their parents. So whatever that is going on with them, within them, around them, they cannot communicate to their parents and also their loved ones. So communication gap remains the major challenge of persons with hearing impairments.
So communication is a big challenge within that community for you know, those with hearing impairment. I mean,
yes, it is.
If they could communicate effectively, it's obvious people who take advantage of them will not have the opportunity to do so, I guess.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. I know people are also curious. I mean, and I'm sure she has seen people with hearing impairments marrying people who don't have any form of disability whatsoever. For instance, within the blind cluster, for those who are visually impaired, they feel it's more convenient for them to marry somebody who is without any disability. But I've learned today on the show that for deaf persons, they feel more comfortable marrying someone who is within their cluster,
yes.
And they feel it's safer for them, you know, that way.
Yes.
But generally, what misconception does she think people have about deaf people and how they find love and relationship? What's that misconception she thinks people have about them?
Okay, the first misconception is that people feel that deaf persons, they usually get angry easily and that they are very violent.
That's a common misconception.
And that's, yes, and that depends on the situation that that deaf has found his or herself. But generally, it's not true. I know that it can be very frustrating when they are trying to communicate and nobody understands them. But that notwithstanding, we still have a lot of deaf persons out there who are loving and caring, and they are nice to be with.
Okay, let's move into, I know this is outside love, dating, relationship. Let's move to another concern that we've had concerning the deaf community for a long time, the issue of accommodation. I'm aware of the fact that many landlords, landladies, owners of property often decline giving deaf people accommodation or renting their houses to deaf persons. What does she think about this? Is it not worrisome to her?
It is true. Sometimes the landlord themselves feel that because these people are deaf, they cannot pay. And they also feel that deaf people can also make trouble with other persons. But all of these are misconceptions. The deaf persons are not animals. We are humans like every other person. So if we go out in search of a place to rest our heads, it is within what we can afford. We don't go for what we cannot afford, and we never go out in search of accommodation with the intention of not wanting to pay rent or causing trouble. So we should be accepted in the society, and we should know that every one of us have his or her own challenges. If it is communication, for me, the phone has made it very, very easy for us to communicate with other people. But people don't even want to open up to accept us, so it becomes very frustrating.
All right, beautiful. Back to the love conversation and the relationship conversation. We've discovered that deaf people get married very early. You see 21, 25, deaf people in their mid-20s, early 20s, they get married very quickly. Why so?
You said the question is quite funny. That for her, she feels that whenever anybody finds love and you are matured enough, you have found love and you can take care of yourself and the family, why not? What matters it all is, has the person found love? If yes, and the person is matured enough, has all the resources, the person can go ahead to get married.
Prefer marrying within their cluster. Have they had situations where family would want to force them to marry people without, or a person without a disability? Has there been experiences like that?
Yes. Personally, when I was young, I asked my parents, please, can you allow me to get married to a deaf person? My father said it depends on me. And I asked my father again, do you mean it depends on me means I can marry either a hearing or a deaf person? My father still said, yes, it depends on me. Okay, but my mother actually wanted me to get married to a hearing person.
All right. But I'll ask this very final question. People also think, but I've seen, okay, if I say I've seen, some people will question it, but I've noticed that most deaf ladies are very beautiful. I mean, does she agree with that?
Yes.
I've seen a lot of beautiful deaf ladies in my lifetime, and that's quite fascinating. All right, it's been an interesting conversation on the program today, discussing or having a chat with Millicent Ogbodu. She's been on about the subject of love, relationship, dating for persons with hearing impairment. And I hope you learned a couple of things from her today. And she's been able to dispel some of those misconceptions people have about people with hearing impairment, particularly when they give birth to children. People often think that, oh, automatically, because the parents can't talk, it's definitely going to affect the speech of that child. That's really not the case. Thank you for following us on the program today. Thank you for watching on TV and listening on radio. We'll do this again next week. My name is Kingsley Okoje, saying spot the hitch and be a voice. Goodbye.
ITV, certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Ugemobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Yari, yari, Ọba Àtọ́pẹ́. Yari, yari,
The Oba of Benin added a colorful mood to the year's celebration as he walks round the city center amidst cheers.
ITV, certainly the best.
Hello everyone, welcome on board the program Politics Today on independent television and radio, and this is wishing you Merry Christmas in arrears and of course Happy New Year 2026. Well, we made it and we're grateful to God. What matters the most is the year just begun, and the question is, what are you going to turn 2026 into in terms of accomplishments, in terms of achievements, in terms of your goals, your objectives, and all of that? The responsibility is on you, the onus is on you. But here at ITV Radio, we'll continue to serve you and update you, inform you, entertain you, and equip you so you can function at the very best, at optimum level in terms of achieving your dreams and aspirations for the year 2026. I'm Sonny Duke Okoson, as always. Welcome on board the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. Let's begin the show by looking at some of the trending political story. One of them is our major focus on the first edition of Politics Today in the year 2026. We'll begin with the defection of Peter Obi, who was the Labour Party presidential candidate in the last general election, who has officially defected from the LP, Labour Party, to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Mr. Obi announced the decision on Wednesday during a political rally at the Nike Lake Resort Hotel in Enugu State. The former governor joined the ADC alongside his LP supporters and politicians from other political parties. Mr. Obi argued that he was only formalizing his membership of the ADC rather than defecting to the party because he had been part of the conversations to form the opposition coalition group that adopted ADC as its platform for the 2027 general elections. Reactions have been trailing this defection of Mr. Peter Obi from LP to the ADC. And there's so much more to talk about as we make progress in the course of the program this lovely Saturday morning. Okay, let's move on to our next story. We're following some of the political trends we're following at this time. Well, Rivers State will always be in the news anytime, every day, and it looks like the end to Rivers State being in the news is not just inside. We're going to see more of that dominance of Rivers State in the political conversation, political communication in the days, weeks, and months to come in the run-up and build-up to the 2027 general elections. And amidst the growing political tension, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has gone spiritual with the assurance that the state cannot go into another round of political war. Fubara expressed optimism that the 2026 will usher in an improved fortunes for Rivers State and its residents, assuring that his administration is entering the new year with renewed strength and confidence. Governor Fubara gave the assurance in his New Year message delivered shortly after the crossover service at the Government House Chapel of Everlasting Grace, Port Harcourt. Reflecting on the past 2 years of his administration, the governor said the period had been challenging, but noted that his government is stepping into the new year with hope and faith. He declared that his reliance is not on the instrument of war, but on prayer, stressing that those who place their trust in God will not be put to shame. He urged residents of the state to remain calm and unperturbed by the unsettling ripostes of war, assuring them that his administration remains focused on advancing the interests of Rivers State. He acknowledged that some expectations had been met in the course of the last 2 years, but maintained that the state would experience progress and development in the new year. I hope so. A lot of fingers are crossed about some of the expectations from Governor Siminalayi Fubara, against the background that his right-hand man or former right-hand man, his political godfather, the Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, is still spoiling for war. And some say that's because of the governor's refusal to put together a supplementary budget, which Wike's camp had proposed. But Fubara is saying when he was sent on emergency vacation by Mr. President as a result of the emergency rule, he left in the coffers of Rivers State about 300 billion naira. By the time the emergency rule was suspended and he came back, or the emergency rule elapsed and he came back, he met 600 billion naira in the account. And he felt that there's enough money to run the later part of 2025 to completion, and there was no need for supplementary budget. And that infuriated the strong man of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and his loyalists, and some of the issues started coming forth. How all of that will materialize is a matter of time. Okay, let's quickly take you to Rivers State, to Plateau State, where the Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has formally joined the All Progressive Congress APC after resigning from the People's Democratic Party PDP. Mr. Mutfwang received his APC membership card on Friday at a stakeholders meeting in Jos, the Plateau State capital, marking a major shift in the state's political alignment. The governor said his decision to defect was driven by the need for purposeful leadership and clarity of direction, as well as the desire to align Plateau State closely with the policies and programs of the federal government to accelerate development and improve service delivery. Well, those are some of the stories we are following at the moment. With Mutfwang joining the APC, you wonder who is now left in the PDP. Big question we may find some answers to in the course of the program. But let's take a short break to bring in our guest. John Yakubu is a PDP chieftain, public affairs analyst, businessman, will be joining us live in the studio. We've got Chief Daniel Matthew Akwamonka, Labour Party chieftain, joining us virtually from UK, and the ADC publicity secretary in Edo State, Christopher Ojekere, is also joining us virtually from Benin City. Please stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Many thanks again for rejoining us on the program Politics Today, and it's coming to you live on independent television and radio, and that makes it a simulcast. Let's welcome our panelist. John Eyiwachima Yakubu is a former chairman of Eastern Northeast Local Government Council, former PDP deputy governorship candidate in the state, former senatorial aspirant of the PDP. Chief John Yakubu, thank you for joining. I just added something now.
Thank you for having me.
Happy New Year.
But please, let's quickly correct that.
Okay.
I'm not
That's on the lighter side.
Okay,
yeah. Okay, it's still Politics Today. Let's meet Chief Daniel Matthew Akwamoka is joining us from UK. Chief, thank you for joining us on the program.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I'm very fortunate. That is the honorable you just introduced my brother. The same formation Northeast to whom you are.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Christopher Ojekere is the ADC publicity scribe in Edo State. Is joining us also virtually from Benin City. Chris, good to have you on the program. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you, Sonny, for having me. Happy New Year to you and to my big brothers there in the studio.
Okay, John, let's get started.
Thank you.
Peter Obi has been a reference point, particularly from the last general election, with a huge followership and all of that. When the ADC came on board as a coalition platform, he was there. At the time, he said, well, he just went there because of the interaction and all of that. He wasn't moving, and but we saw speculations coming in the closing part of 2025 that on the last day of 2025, December 2025, Peter Obi and a host of other leaders in the Labour Party were going to join the ADC, and true to words, he moved eventually, saying he wanted to close 2025 with the Labour Party and start on a new journey in 2026 with a new platform as part of the structures and strategies to form that broader coalition to wrestle power from the APC led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And reaction has started coming forth. But what do you make of this movement?
Well, like you started at the beginning, you mentioned that Obi is a reference point. He will continue to be a reference point because the gospel of Saint Obi, I'll call him Saint Gregory Obi, is completely different from the gospel of every other politician in Nigeria. It is for that reason, that singular reason, that a lot of persons continue to discuss Obi even before he joined the ADC. I'm sure that Obi would not have moved from Labour to ADC because what Obi is saying, what Obi is discussing with Nigerians, you discover that since the movement of Obi about 4 or 5 days ago, there have been a lot of concern, even from the ruling political party, even from our migrant party, the PDP, because everybody is concerned because Obi movement from where he is to a different place entirely means that the political atmosphere is going to change. A lot of persons in Nigeria, outside the ruling government, outside the people in government today, are all discussing Obi because Obi gospel of productivity, of prosperity for the people is completely different from what we have. Because what we've been practicing, or what we are still practicing today, which Obi is the case, is the consumption of the seed provided by God for this nation. And in our local parlance, any farmer that consumes his seed there, that it is easier. You know, I don't know whether you are practicing farming or not, seed yam are very delicious, very sweet. But for any farmer to consume his seed, it means that farmer will die of hunger.
We don't have a harvest.
Not even nothing to plant. So you will not be talking of having a harvest since you have not planted. What Obi is saying that what God has provided for us as a nation, we have to practice so that the generation yet to come can begin to harvest. That is the difference between Obi and every other politician in Nigeria. Okay. Until that is done, I'm not here to cast aspersion on the ruling government or cast aspersion on my party, but what Obi is saying is completely different from what every other politician is saying in Nigeria. That is why you see that the followership is huge. That is why that you see that people are saying that where Obi go is where they will go. Labour was not so strong before the coming of Obi, and you will now discover what will happen to Labour. A lot of people gravitated towards Labour, not because, or a lot of persons voted for Labour candidate from the Senate to the House of Rep, not because of any other person, but because of Obi. But you discover that some of those persons, immediately they got to the House, rather than listening to the gospel of Obi from Genesis to Revelation, what they did was not only to the camp, to change that mindset. I think what Obi is telling us as a people is that let's sit down. We are provided for by God all the things necessary to build a nation. Until we sit down to begin to think of how to build this nation, we will not progress as a nation. We cannot be a consuming nation and expect the economy to grow. We cannot be empowering Toyota and very other mighty companies overseas and we expect this country to go. Let me tell you this. The coming of Obasanjo, if you remember very well, when Obasanjo came in as a military president, he discovered that the economy was not as buoyant as it ought to be. What did he do? He said, in his first decree that every other person, including himself and the president and the head of state of this nation, should drive a 504. And that was what happened during the time of Obasanjo, and he came up with this Operation Feed the Nation, and he led us to the farm. At that point, the economy started growing to a point that when any other government cannot come in and started thinking of what to do with what we have. But what do we have today? We consume all what we have rather than planting it for the future to come. Okay. So Obi is not just a politician. Obi is not just moving from Labour to ADC. Obi is a movement.
Okay, I'll come back to you in just a moment. But let me take you go to the UK where Chief Daniel Matthew Oponoka is standing by. Chief, talk to me about the difference between Obi's movement and the regular movement that we have seen. In the last few months, we have seen defections from left, right, back, center. John made some comments saying this movement is, Obi's defection is a movement. But if you look at Obi's trajectory, he started out with APGA. From APGA, he moved to the PDP. From the PDP, he moved to Labour Party. From Labour Party, he's now in ADC. You never can tell, maybe it may be in APC tomorrow. This is the pattern of the average Nigerian politicians. And even if you look at the ADC, many of the people that you're seeing there today, they follow this same pattern. So what is so special, so unique about this movement that has kept tongues wagging, even though we have a faction of the ADC led by Nafiu Bala Gombe, the factional chairman, saying that the defection to ADC is null and void because the procedure was not followed. The party's constitution was not followed. Let me get your take on this.
Well, first of all, I want to say, from speaking from the Labour perspective, it really pains the heart to see His Excellency Peter Obi leaving Labour Party to any other party. And we must commend Peter Obi because Peter Obi energized a lot of people, the youth, those who are different, who are not really interested in politics, to come into politics, to take politics and governance seriously. Peter Obi also motivated a lot of people to run that would not have had the opportunity to run, and some of them did win their seats. So we must give him credit. I personally felt like whatever the situation he had with Labour Party was resolvable. It did not need to leave the party to go and join ADC. So what is unique about this? Really nothing unique. But the only question for me, even though I love Peter Obi and I have no personal grudge against him leaving Labour Party, I will still remain faithful to the party, is that it's where he's going to join. Like they say, my mom used to say, as well, and this is a common phrase, show me your friends, I will tell you who you are. Peter Obi is now joining with El-Rufai in ADC, who will know who he is, what he is, what he has said with his own mouth. Peter Obi's 2015, how the country to help to destabilize the government, and how it destroyed Kaduna and allowed Kaduna Christian to almost be wiped out. That's who El-Rufai is. And again, talking about Atiku, Atiku is another man that during his time as a vice president, he liquidated all the federal government assets, sold it to a friend. Even 2020 2023, when he ran, he said he will even do more, that we see it failed in all aspects. Rotimi Amici, his greatest success of 8 years as a minister was to build the biggest railway station in Niger Republic. Those are the people he's going to associate with, even though he's a credible man, an upright man. But show me your friends. So I will not begrudge him from leaving Labour Party, but Labour Party is a party that have an identity. Papa, Mama, Pikin, that stood for something, that has a principle that is what we need. So his message tied down and fit perfectly well with Labour Party. The interest of the common man, the interest of the common woman, and the interest of the child, of the children. It fit very well into Labour Party. His vision of how Nigeria should work is what is embedded in the constitution of Labour Party, unlike any other party. So him going to ADC, it really boggles the mind. But like I said, we have to I pray for him, and we wish him all the success and peace, whatever reason he joined ADC. But I'm very disappointed, and Labour should take full accountability for this. I'm very disappointed the way the matter has been handled, that he left, but we must acknowledge his input in Labour Party, in his input in the politics of Nigeria. But personally, I hope he has stayed. I don't know. Now the doors is open for people in a Labour Party. Maybe I might just run for president now, since Peter Obi is no longer there. Thank you.
Of course, that's your right. That's your inalienable right, Chief Dada Matthew Akwaboka. But let me get to Christopher Ojekere. The concern is that the coming former defection of Peter Obi, because he said he's joining the APC, is a formalization. ADC. Yes, I mean, sorry, ADC. He's joining the ADC is a formalization. Yeah, Chris, talk to me about what this means for the ADC. Especially when you have the likes of former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who is a serial presidential contestant, and then you have the likes of Nasir El-Rufai, who is one of the most controversial politicians we have in the country right now, whom some say he left the APC to join the ADC after his attempt to join the SDP failed, largely because he was rejected as a minister because of security concerns around his person. All of these people are coming together. You also have the likes of David Mark. Are we not, gravitating towards an implosion, political implosion in the party, with the likes of Atiku saying they are not standing down for anybody, and they'll be also saying he is going to contest for the presidential ticket in that party? We just saw that statement from his aide, today. Chris.
Yeah, we are very happy that there's so much interest in the ADC, as it should be, and coming from all walks of life in Nigeria and from all Nigerians. That's quite interesting, and we're happy to hear that. I need for you to locate these issues in context. There are only two issues in all of the things that have been said. And those two issues are, one, are Nigerians beginning to see patriotic Nigerians who love this country and wants to rescue this country from a one-party state, from fascism, from the destruction of our judiciary, the destruction of our electoral systems, the destruction of our economy, from insecurity, and from unbearable, unrelieved tax increases and tariffs increases? The answer is yes. And the people who are gathering together to do that, and Nigerians who have seen the danger, the catastrophe that is in view, the cataclysmic situation that is in view, if Democrats, patriots, lovers of Nigerians don't come together to overthrow this system that is leading us there. The system, I mean, is the APC and the current government. That is cheering news. Every other thing that you have said are effects of this core issue. The core issue is where our focus would be. So the ADC is tied together by a common principle, and the principle is rescuing Nigeria by means of restoration of our democracy. Then the second thing, I'm happy that Honorable John Yakubu gets the paradigm very well. He's speaking about the fact that governance should be about development. The ideology that Obi is preaching has not bettered in all those other parties where he is and where he was. And that is why, having seen that Atiku Abubakar from the PDP, El-Rufai from the APC, Amechi from the APC, several others from ABGA and the others have been able to sustain a party.
I need to pause you now. Chris, just a moment. Chris, I need to pause you now for the news headlines, and then we'll be back with you in just a moment. Please stay. Of course, we just saw a quotable quote from Peter Obi a few seconds ago that prosperity will not come by taxing poverty. That's very, very profound. But let me get back to Christopher Ojekere to quickly anchor the point about the coming of these political bigwigs converging in the ADC and its implication for the race for 2027.
So the ADC is like a football team that has gone to the market to spend valuable money to get in the best players from across the world, this time across Nigeria. So we have strikers, we have defense, we have good midfielders, we have wingers. They are all now in ADC, and now driven by certain policy ideology, like John Yakubu started to talk about, and which Akwemoka referred to. For instance, Akwemoka has a problem with privatizing our national assets. But if you look at the cesspool of corruption that the NNPC is and has been, you would wonder whether you would not prefer the option of privatizing the NNPC. The NNPC have run us aground, if you have been following. Now, you would think of how much could have been saved if in 2013, Atiku had his way and the NNPC is privatized. Now, you've just quoted again, Sonny, another policy option to taxation that Obi just quoted. So these are the kind of ideas that are pulling to give Nigeria a new direction. The fact that we think that they are United States are very genius, and they're able to convert that kind of variety into strength. That is what ADC would do. The fact that ADC has been held together for over a year now, under the able management and supervision of David Mark, who is a veteran administrator who saved this country in the time a cabal was supposed to disintegrate this country. David Mark came up with the doctrine of necessity and held this country together. It should be very heartwarming that David Mark is heading the ADC. So we have people of experience who are coming from experience. And because they are coming from experience and they know how we have got to the cliff edge and have almost tumbled over by the so-called Emilokon, they are going to be very careful, as they are being careful now, on how to give us a sustainable nation via the instrumentality of their political party when we come into power in 2027.
The coming of age of Peter Obi into the ADC is not avoided because due process was not followed. It ought to go through the world, but we saw from the report that his admittance into the ADC was at the party zonal office. What do you make of this factional disposition to this Obi's coming to ADC?
In ADC, if you are not a member of ADC, you cannot be referred to as faction. The voice that is speaking, the voice of Esau, of Jacob, and the hand of Esau that is speaking, is not a member of the ADC. The ADC knows its members. We will begin to respond to such foolishness when it happens to happen, when it happens that it comes from our member. So you are asking me to respond to an unknown quantity to the ADC. We don't know who is.
I just want to admonish that we should be very civil in our language because this is public space and we're reaching millions of people across the world. I'll come back to you in just a moment, Chris Ojeke, but let me come back to you, John. Now, because some say the body language of the PDP seems to suggest that they probably will eventually merge forces with the ADC when the time comes. But we know already majority of the bigwigs in the ADC, Atiku, El-Rufai, Amici, and now Peter Obi and Nasir El-Rufai, they all intend to have a go at the presidency. What does this mean? What's the implication of all of this?
Well, let me quickly say this. Though I'm not a member of the ADC as of today, I'm not a member of the ADC, I think this issue of the faction you're talking about should be downplayed. Because as of today, the INEC have a recognized national school of ADC. There's no ambiguity about that. So when you come on air and you begin to quote of a man who is claiming to be a factional leader of another group of ADC, like I said, I'm not a member. Take that, just oppose that with my party, the PDP today, where INEC had refused to enlist the just recently elected national leader because they felt that there was a problem and there's a case in court and until that is resolved, they will not enlist them. So when you start talking about having factions in the ADC, I think we should not create something.
No, we're not creating. No, we're not. You see, this is where the challenge. Just hold on. This is where the challenge is. The media has a responsibility to give everybody a fair hearing, an opportunity to be heard and to be seen. It's not us. It's not us. So you, the politician, hold on just a moment. You, the politician, have a responsibility to put your house in order rather than blaming the media for reporting accurately what the issues are. We need to establish that. No, we need to establish that. You stay on course, Yakubu.
But let me say this: there's nothing accurate about that.
Yes.
Because as of today, there is a national ESCO as recognized by INEC.
Yes.
It is only when INEC is saying that there is a faction in the political party that the media can come out to say, yes, this is the.
So when a man comes and makes a claim, we have a responsibility.
Can come out
yes,
the street and make a claim
just hold on.
Take that to the studio?
Hold on.
No,
hold on. When a man comes out to make a claim,
yes,
we have a responsibility to report it.
So what?
In reporting it,
so if I
we are not. Hold on.
That I'm a
we will give you the opportunity to vocalize your views and your perspective. That's what happened. That story that I just reported now is on the Punch.
No, you are missing my point. It can be anywhere.
It's on the Punch. So what I'm saying is that you see. We have just hold on. Hold on. That is exactly what we are doing. But in most cases, the average politician misinterprets the role of the media. They want us to just pander to their whims and caprices. That is not what the media is meant for.
Yes. I'll repeat that example. That's today. My party had the.
That's why I said you should stay on course so that we can save time.
That has not been recognized.
Yes.
It's unlike ADC that have this national ESCO headed by Davy Mank has fully recognized.
Yes.
So if a man is shouting from an obscure village and calling himself as the national chairman, all you need to do as the conventional media house is to go to check the website of INEC.
No, hold on. Let me clear. Hold on, John. Let me clear you on something because we are in public space.
Okay.
Even if INEC has cleared a particular ESCO, and somebody comes out to speak otherwise, we have a duty and a responsibility. Hold on now. We have a duty and a responsibility to air that view. It is not our responsibility to take position. We have a responsibility to air all the sides of the issue so that the public will be aware.
Okay.
Yes, so that is our responsibility.
All I need to do is to go to somewhere, somehow,
we will report it. We will report it. If you do that, we will report it.
Okay, thank you. Let's come back to who is today is preaching the gospel of hope.
Yeah.
And that is why you see, that is the basic reason that every person, every known good person in this country is gravitating towards that. And he just mentioned, Jegere just mentioned something, and I want to put a little correction to that. Atiku and Obasanjo actually sold NNPC in 2006. at the point that they were leaving to Dangote and all that, so that productivity could be enhanced. But what did we do? What did Nigerian politicians, what did they do? Top civil servant. Immediately, the moment Yaradua came on board, they cried to high heaven. And Dangote said, please give me my money. And government paid back. Today, those refineries, because I said the refinery in Port Harcourt in 1992-93, those refineries as are today, over 20 billion have been spent in those refineries, and they are dead. Now, what do we have to do? Why do we have to cry over that? A man is saying, if this country must be prosperous, I just want you to know that the gospel of St. Peter Obi, the political gospel, as to how to revive this nation, is what is interesting to the people of this country. Because you cannot be preaching of gospel of hope to the people, and when you are making them hopeless, you cannot be stealing from them to enhance yourself and be telling them to wait for tomorrow. That is what Obi is saying. Don't steal from the people to enrich yourself. Don't steal from the people to ride the best cars in the world. Don't steal from the people to make yourself comfortable. What you must first of all do is to make the people comfortable before you cannot begin to talk about yourself. Sonny, do you enjoy yourself to the detriment of your children? Rather than spending money to send them to school and making sure that they become who you think they should become, do you now go to beer parlor and begin to spend those monies, and at the end of the day you are telling your children who are not of age to be on their own? That is the gospel of Peter Obi. And I am not in the ADC today, but if a man is saying that productivity will save this nation, and I believe that, because I haven't spent just about 2 years and 10 months as the council chairman, I realized, and I am happy about it, that going back memory lane, 16 years after, I think I point to about 8th road that we assaulted. Thereafter, Sonny Duke, go back to my local government and point to another road that have been done 15 years after, even when they have more money. And that is why everybody is listening to Peter Obi and saying, look, if we have a good leader, then my friend from the UK just mentioned about the persons that are following. No, once we have a good leader in this country, our problem have been leadership. And what have we been doing in this nation is that the little we have, we're using it to spend it on our leaders. I will tell you this before you probably will begin to say, let's go to it. Now, when Buhari came in, this idea of 4+4, 4 years, 8 years, a man that we have, what Peter Obi is saying or what others are saying, that you campaign for 4 years, it is only in Nigeria. It is only politics we play. Politicians are not ready for any other thing. Once a man is elected today, they'll start telling you he has another 4 years. The man has not done 6 months. And that is the basic problem, because they have reduced everything to politics.
Okay.
And if we must move away from that, if a man is elected for 4 years, before we begin to politic and begin to speak about every other thing, that man must show us his report card. But the problem we have with politics across board, except the man who today has come out again, he's coming out again to say, look, let's begin to lead this nation. Once a man campaigns for 4 years, like Donald Trump is doing, do your 4 years. I think psychophancy should stop, most especially even done at the highest level now. It is now at the level of governors and ministers and others, senators turning themselves into psychopaths. Don't forget in 1980, when the money for Bende State was not being released by the presidency under MPN, under Shehu Shagari, what did Ambrose Ali do? Rather than becoming a psychopath that we have today, he went to court and said, look, this money belongs to Bende State. You won, and at the end of the day, he won. But the dangerous aspect we are having in politics today now, that senators, House of Rep, elected senators, House of Rep members, governors have turned themselves to psychopaths, all just because of what they think they want to steal from the people.
Okay. Let me pause you there. Let's quickly link up with Chief Daniel Matthew Ahomoha. Obi is known to be very frugal when it comes to monies, funds, resources, and stuff like that as it relates to politics. I mean, he came up with the slogan, he has no shinshi to give. Now, in a party like ADC, where he's not into, you have the likes of Atiku. And I hear people say this a lot, that, well, if the ADC were to do a primaries today, Atiku most likely would be ahead of others. What does, I mean, what is the import of these against the background of some of the philosophies and ideologies that Obi has to offer this country? Will the personality of Obi be able to manifest under the leadership of a man like Atiku Abubakar, whom some have criticized in several ways in terms of corruption issues and all of that, even though we haven't really seen him be prosecuted as such. Yes, Chief.
Well, first of all, I want to say my senior wine in the studio there. It seems like he might migrate to ADC soon. The way he speaks eloquently about Peter Obi in ADC. Just hold me along. Maybe we will go together, because I feel like I've been preached to about the wonderfulness of Peter Obi moving and what it stands for. What it stands for is really the next question that my dear brother Sonny just asked for. What Peter Obi stands for, is it compatible with ADC as of present and being the kind of characters that are in ADC? Atiku, for instance, is a very good person in winning the primary, because it will pour us the whole system, corrupt it to the T. But so far so good, he has not been able to translate that corrupt primary win victory to any general election. And if Atiku is in there and you're able to find a parity with Atiku, you see, Obi is a man of integrity based on the campaign of 2023, and everything he has said has serious value to it. I mean, I'm not going to try go back to his days in when he was a governor. You judge him as per what he wants to do for you for tomorrow, not what he has done yesterday. But based on what he's saying he wants to do and what he's projecting to do, you have people in ADC right now that they are the obstacle to everything Obi said he wants to do in the past, and they've not come up with anything different. What is their view about the tax reformation? What is the view about the education policy of the current administration? What is the tax about the massive borrowing and investment at the same time by the current administration? What does the party stand for? You see, it's not just joining ADC because that's another vehicle. It's a value, and the people. So show me your friends that tell you who you are. And the people you surround yourself with determine the value which you project. And that's my only concern. I believe in Peter Obi, honestly. I have my misgivings. And him moving to ADC breaks my heart. A part of me feel like I should move with him, as my senior Owine is preaching about it. And I'm like, yeah, you're saying everything I believe. But that's me believing in Peter Obi. The party's another thing. So I'm not convinced that it's the right fit for him. But otherwise, the next few days we will know. And we will see if he can beat Atiku in the primary. If Atiku that is going to compete, Peter Obi will not be on a ballot come 2027, because it will not beat Atiku in primary. And if Atiku and what's Rotimi Amici most likely combine energy, which that's going to happen, and then Peter Obi will not be on ballot come 2027. And it will be a great loss to Nigeria if Peter Obi is not on ballot come 2027. That's my only worries and concern. Because Atiku will not back down for him. Atiku is about 88 years old. If he doesn't go now, it's going to take him another, God knows, another 6 years, thereabout. Yes, another 5 to 6 years for him to even be considered. By that time, he's close to 90 years old. So this is his last foray to try. And even that's for him to win the ticket, not necessarily win the
All right, Chief Daniel Marchi, let me pause you there. I'll come back to you if we still have the time. But let's get Chris to comment on the prospect of the ADC in the 2027 election against the power of incumbency with the political czar himself in the saddle now, talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What's your take on this, Chris?
All right, first of all, let me reiterate that APC will not drive our narrative, because I noticed that APC's propaganda has affected Akwemoha so much so that he now suffers from AAS, Atiku Abubakar syndrome. It was a similar thing that was happening to Americans who didn't see behind the curtain in America when Donald Trump was contesting. And then they were suffering from the DTS, Donald Trump syndrome. I can assure Akwemoha that there is no paper anywhere indicting Atiku or having any paper or any evidence before any court of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria that proves that Atiku is corrupt. That is a propaganda that was well spread and that is still being sustained. Atiku was the vice president to Obasanjo, the best regime we have ever had since 1999 democracy. That's the regime that ended all our debt, and Atiku was the head of the economic team that introduced the information technology we have today, whereby we can use GSM and all other internet facilities, that directed us to begin to privatize our...
Hello, caller. Good morning. Good morning, caller. What's your name?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You've got 1 minute. Go straight to the point, please.
My name is Solomon Ataga. Very simple.
Yeah.
You see, the issue of Obi coming to ADC, to me, is a welcome one. Since Labour have now become a party, Labour and PDP have now become a party who never need progress for the people, where some people, individuals, have been the ones dragging the party. I believe if a party has a crisis, if you mean well for the party, like for some people now, the party make them local government chairman and governor to where they are today, and they feel destroying the party. They cannot come together. What do we do? Like to have a candidate that can defeat the president. Moving to APC, and the you people saying about Atiku. Atiku have not become the EFCC one day. Say they are inviting him for the corruption crisis. We keep on saying he's corrupt, he's corrupt. Now those in the government today, they are more corrupt than Atiku. So all we believe is a candidate. If the APC...
All right, I'll stop it there, Solomon Ataga. Our studio number is 08077770300. That number. Let's get your take on our conversation today on policies today on independent television and radio. Dial the number now. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, caller. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, sir. Yes. We are very happy that APC has started because of Wike and the presidency. They are one of the people that want to destroy PDP. But what we want to say now is that the civil society, the Nigerians, we should rise up to see that election transmission of results, electronic transmission of results. Because if we don't do that, even everybody votes for Peter Obi again, we know what they do. We cannot be saying it on air. We know that they have ringing machine to change it. So let it be electronic transmission of results live from the polling booth. So that is what the people should be shouting for now. Because if we don't do it, all the effort will be wasted.
Okay, well, I got your call and contribution. One last call before we call it a wrap quickly. 08077770300. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and go ahead with your contribution. Okay, we have a bit of... okay, we got you now. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Yeah, good morning. What's your name? You're our last caller on the show. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's a welcome to for coming together for a political party.
Okay.
Because Labour have been destroyed by Papa through the power, those in power. We destroy PDP. Now, even SDP, AD, all to come together. And let them become, usually what they want to become. With the masses, it's a fight between the masses and the politicians for coming election. Coming together for a political party to welcome development. Thank you.
All right, let me get a final take, John. Last one.
You can see that Obi is being discussed 8 years out. And that is the present position of this country because we're looking for redemption. The people are saying, look, there should be a leader to redeem this nation. And that leader must not be the person that will now begin to serve as king of God. What I said at the beginning of the sometimes during this program is that, look, this syndrome of 8 years, 4 plus 4, 8 years, should be discarded. They used it, they sold it to us during Buhari. And for 8 years, this country was stagnated. And it is the same APC. I'm not in any way castigating APC. But it's the same party that is saying, no, Buhari did not do anything. But 4 years after Buhari tenure, Nigerians wanted to change him. But they refused. Like the last caller said, all we need in this country now is transparency in our electoral process.
Okay.
So that individuals can vote and their vote will.
All right, Chief Daniel Matthew, one last word on the program today. Final take.
Well, we should keep alive, regardless wherever Peter Obi is. Peter Obi have changed the landscape of politics and politicking in Nigeria. As such, we should respect him. I will urge all Labour Party people not to speak ill of him or discredit or say anything negative of Peter Obi. He's a fine gentleman. And it's basically brought a lot of good things into politics, a lot of thinking and looking at things differently and positively. I personally supported him in 2003. I really did not like the way how things ended up while he was in Labour Party. But having said that, this is what Peter Obi have done. He has energized Nigerians and the Nigerians.
Thank you. Let me get you your take, Chris Ojekere, your final take, please.
I think it is clear to everybody now that the ADC did the right thing by giving Nigerians a neutral platform where all lovers of democracy can converge and ensure that we restore Nigeria back to democracy and from the hand of this oppressive fascism that Nigeria is threatened with by the current regime.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for your time on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. John Yakubu, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And Christopher Ojekere, thank you for coming. And of course, Chief Daniel Matthew Akwamoka, thank you for joining us always on the program.
It's a great honor. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's our package for today on Politics Today on independent television and radio. We hope you had a great time with us. Be sure to join us next week, Saturday. The responsibility of making Nigeria a better place for us all to live in is collective. That means we all have a role to play, and we must play that role effectively, efficiently, without fear of favor, no matter whose ox is God. That's the only way we can move this country forward. I'm Sonny Duke Okosun, thanking you for staying with us. Once again, Happy New Year, and bye for now.
ITV, certainly the best.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking
That's
about
what I said. So
that's-
when they bullied her,
Yeah.
now, if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something. You have to be
They can't
smart.
sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them or are dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe. And these women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
ITV, certainly the best.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
ITV, certainly the best.
To have you join us today on the program, Healthy Living. I'm Adesuwa Osa Uwage, and what we're wishing you in this 2026 is a healthy life, for you to be healthy, and for you to know exactly when to go to the hospital to take care of yourself. So today we want to concentrate on the children, and we're going to conclude what we started last week, or should I say what we started last year? All right, we're concluding today on rubella and measles immunization, how important this vaccine is to your child and even you as a mother. And so our doctors are in the house, and I want to introduce them again. Their names, let's refresh our memory. So join me as I make welcome Professor Ayebo Sado. She's the Director, Institute of Child Health, University of Benin. She's also a consultant pediatrician, Department of Child Health, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, and Chairperson, Pediatric Association of Nigeria. Is a big one. Madam, a pleasure to have you join us today.
Good afternoon, viewers, and Happy New Year.
Happy to have you join us, Doctor. So,
thank you.
I also want to introduce to you Dr. Chinelo Nebe. She's the Registrar, Department of Public Health and Community Medicine, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, and she's also the coordinator M1 at Young Doctors Forum and coordinator M1 at Edo State. So, Doctor, nice to have you join us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and last but not the least on our list, we have Dr. Queen Odikemere. I got that today. I've been practicing. Okay, Dr. Queen Odikemere is a senior registrar, Department of Public Health and Community Medicine, and M1 coordinator, Department of Public Health and Community Medicine, University of Benin Teaching Hospital. So all three of them are from UBGH. Hello, doctors. A pleasure to have you join us today. So let me start with Dr. Sado. We're talking about rubella and measles immunization. Can you just refresh our memory again on the need for this injection?
Right. Thank you very much. So we said the last time that measles is caused by a measles virus, yes. And we are more familiar with that. And measles is a terrible illness for children. It kills, and the symptoms usually will be that the child would have fever, cough, catarrh, and red eyes, and then the rash comes on, and child is ill for about a week, and then the rash subsides and disappears, but as it's disappearing, the skin is peeling. So for several months afterwards, we still see the evidence of measles in that child. So that is what I've just described is mild measles, but there can be complications. So the child can have pneumonia, can have meningitis, can have meningoencephalitis, can have diarrhea, and if the child is malnourished, and many of our children are malnourished these days, the economy is not very friendly, they can have all of these complications. And even after they have recovered, for up to a year afterwards, they have excess mortality. So that is measles.
Okay.
Now, for rubella is somewhat similar. It's caused by a virus. So when it affects older children, adults, you have the same fever, but the fever is not as high as in measles. Then they may have red eyes, some fever, then they rash. Rubella is also called 3 days measles. It's also known as German measles because of the people who first described it. But the 3 days measles, just when you're looking at a child's face and saying, are you planning to have measles or something like that, the rash is disappearing. So it takes about 3 days and it has completely disappeared and it doesn't leave any telltale signs like measles. But why are we worried about rubella? When a pregnant woman gets exposed to rubella, that is where the problem is.
Okay.
That is disaster in waiting.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Chinelu now. How does a pregnant woman contact rubella?
A pregnant woman to contact rubella to start with, most especially it occurs when the pregnant woman is not immunized. So immunization plays a vital role.
Not immunized, an adult.
Because one thing about measles and rubella is that it can provide a lifelong immunity. Okay. That's one of the fantastic results that comes with the vaccination. So when the pregnant woman is not immunized, obviously she's predisposed to contracting the virus. Do you understand? Now, one vital thing about it is that the period of the pregnancy determines the fate of the offspring. Do you understand? So for the first trimester, usually when the pregnant woman contacts the virus, it could lead to miscarriage. Obviously, as simple as that. The woman gets lost, there's loss of pregnancy. Then for the second trimester, it will come from other genetic defects that can also result to issues like congenital heart diseases, sensorineural losses, maybe also sight. It can affect the sight of the baby. So when the baby is born, you see that the baby is deformed from birth. So that's one of the vital things. And also because it provides a lifelong immunity, what it also entails that the mother tends to also transfer some of the immunoglobulin, or should I say form of protection, to the baby passively after birth. So the baby is protected for some period before we talk about backing up with vaccinations. So it's kind of not just the mother, but also the baby. So we are not just preventing something like mortality. Yes. We are more morbidity. At this particular place, now we are talking about infant mortality, neonatal mortality. So it protects them before we now reinforce with vaccination. Okay. So you see the role this vaccination does, just not just only to the mother.
Don't worry. You have to tell us the importance of that. Now, how does the pregnant woman knows that she has contacted because some may just say that he going by what professor described. Some may just say and all of that, and they just play over it, and that is that. Knowing fully well the kind of mentality most of us have towards accessing medical care.
Yeah. You see, that's the main thing. For a woman to know she has contracted it, just like my senior colleague mentioned earlier, it's something that goes for a short period of time. Sadly, the woman may have these rashes. The woman may have these rashes, but she won't be able to pinpoint that this is rubella because of the shortened duration.
That is the problem.
Yes, may have a generalized body rash with fever, mild fever, she may take it for malaria.
Any
Whether
itching?
yes, it may come with itching or it could come with papular rashes, they say. But they're thinking of rubella because it's about sensitizing the woman, knowing that this could be, and also depending on the season. Because mostly measles and rubella, they usually come during the hot season. So it's kind of interfere with the symptoms can interfere with
the weather. One would think is heat rash and all of that.
So much. So sadly, it could affect that.
Okay, Dr. Kwe, when Prof was talking
about the fact that measles can kill.
At what point does measles really kill? Because a lot of us trivialize this ailment. At what point does measles kill?
Most times, children that are under 5, that's within the age of 1 to 5 and less than, they are still trying to build up their immunity from the breast milk and then from the supplementary feeds they get. So most times when this infection or they come in contact with this virus and then there are less supports, like in terms of feeding, they are malnourished or their immunity is down. When this virus gets tend to contact this virus with this low immunity, and then in terms of our feeds, nutrients, they help us sustain us, makes us stronger and all that. But when we are lacking, when these children are lacking in all these things, this can lead to deaths. It can lead to form of deformity. So within, a child is vulnerable to its complications and to its mortality, especially within the age of 1 to 5 years. That's children less than 5 to or less than 5 years. So it's very important that we take care of these children at this age so that they don't tend to have the complications. Yes, death may happen, but most times when you don't take the appropriate measures in terms of ensuring that they feed adequately, for those who are breastfeeding, ensure that they are exclusively breastfed about to 6 months. If this thing is not being done, maybe in terms of the mother is not able to do that either financially or maybe working and is unable to carry out these processes, this child is vulnerable to having complications of that are associated with measles, even up to death. So that's why it's very important.
Okay, all right. It's that time for us to take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll ask Prof and the other doctors some questions and get answers definitely. So a woman that did not take immunization at birth or vaccination at birth may come back and not even know it. Is it impossible to take
as an adult?
Yes, there's no age discrimination when it comes to vaccination against these diseases, measles or rubella.
But would it be effective?
It's true. But one thing we have to put in notice that also because we are in a community where measles and rubella is endemic in our setting. So what it does that there are sometimes there are natural strain that we could get by virtue of communication. So the body tends to build up the immune system against it. So luckily, the person may be, by virtue of natural strain, lucky to get it. So you can go to, but before then, if the person is concerned, perhaps I need to vaccinate myself. We can carry out some laboratory investigation to confirm the immune status of the person in regards to that, whether this person will go ahead and have this vaccination or not. However, there are some situations we have to take note of as an adult when it comes to vaccination against rubella, and this because it's a life attenuated vaccine. So remember, it's contraindicated in pregnant women.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
so
serious,
yes, you don't want because pregnancy on its own alters the immune status to an extent, and a lot is happening. Remember, so the woman is not just about her; it's also for the baby. So you don't want to introduce the vaccine to the woman, and and you go ahead attacking the baby. So that will lead to maybe miscarriage or congenital deformity, which could lead to triads of signs and symptoms that the outcome will not be favorable. So because that's what you're trying to prevent. So that will have to take note of it. And also the immune status of the person is also vital. If the person is maybe something like HIV positive or is taking some medications that kind of repress the immune system, the person will not go ahead and have this vaccination.
That's why you doctors are there.
We now have rubella and measles vaccine as one. Please tell me why.
Okay,
and the
so
importance of this.
All right, so we have basically described what measles can do. Can kill, so, and spend a lot of money to treat a child who has measles. Then, if a child has congenital rubella, it costs between $4,000, $400,000 and $100,000 to treat one child who has congenital rubella syndrome. So we are saying a child who is blind, a child who is deaf, a child who has a hole in the heart, and who is possibly mentally retarded. So
and we're not sure if that child is going to be well, if that child is going to be treated.
So it costs a lot to treat. So prevention is better than cure.
Please tell us more about this prevention.
So to prevent both measles and rubella, the best is vaccination. And so before now, we're giving measles vaccine. And that just prevents only measles.
I think we take measles for our children twice.
Yes, at 9 months and at 15 months. And I can tell you that that has been effective. So in the year 2000, there were 11 million cases of measles in Africa.
Wow.
But as at 2023, this was down to 4 million.
Okay.
What made the difference? Vaccination. In Nigeria, we are improving, but we are not yet there. So in 2025...
When you go to hospitals, you see a lot of women queuing up to get vaccines for their children.
Yes, but we are not yet there. So we had like 26,000 cases, suspected cases, and 77% of them did not receive any vaccine. So those who have measles is among those who did not take the vaccine.
Tell us the reason why they should collect this vaccine.
So we have said the bad things that measles and rubella can do.
Yes.
So prevention is better than cure. So the government has provided a vaccine that can prevent both measles and rubella. One injection.
How many
doses? So in the campaign, it's going to be one dose that is going to be given to children aged 9 months to 14
what
years.
If these children have taken vaccines before? Does it really matter?
No. So if
it doesn't matter
if you are a 9 month old, if you are a 9 month if you are a 9 month old, you probably have not taken, so you are just starting your vaccination. If let's say you are a 10 month old, you are getting your second dose. All right. So we're targeting 9 months to 14 years. So that's a large cohort of children that we are protecting. If you are 14 years, 13 years, 12 years, you have taken one dose of measles before. So, or even 2 doses. But getting measles, rubella vaccine is not going to cause any problem.
These vaccines are mostly in government hospitals. People get it for free. But in private hospitals, they are not free. And with the strike from government hospitals, people will tend to go to private hospitals. So what is the hope for these persons? And what is the efficacy of these vaccines that they are going to get from
I can assure you,
private hospitals?
I can assure you that the vaccines that are in the public sector, they are the best.
That's public sector. What about private sector? You people will go on strike.
Okay.
You people are planning a strike now.
That's doctors. The nurses are working.
Some doctors are planning strikes now.
The doctors the nurses are working.
The PHCs. We
have and then the primary care
centers.
Health centers.
So if parents go to family health centers now,
primary health centers.
Okay, if they go to any primary health center,
yes, within your local government,
yes,
exactly,
for free.
Yes.
If they go today, they will get it.
Well, so that brings us to why we are here. The vaccine is going to be rolled out as from 20th of January in Edo State.
Okay.
In the northern states, that was done in October, so it's available in those states.
And
but
the vaccine is free.
It is free.
You will not go there and they will tell you buy cotton wool.
No.
Pay for consumables.
No, that's in private sector.
No, they
private
do that
sector.
in some primary health care centers.
They don't do that.
No, not for
it has already been paid
I'm
for.
telling you for sure that they do that in some primary health center. Maybe not for this, but bring something for cotton wool. We don't have cotton wool and we don't have. They call it consumables, Abi. So for this one,
it might be okay. So let me tell you what is going to happen.
Yes.
So come 20th of January, they will start giving the measles rubella vaccine free of charge. They will go to schools, they will go to churches, they will go to mosques, they will go to marketplaces, free for 10 days campaign.
Free for 10 days.
Free for 10 days.
Free for 10 days.
Then after that, it will become routine. We give it now at 9 months and at 15 months.
15 months,
like previously
incorporated.
So it is going to replace the former measles vaccines that we're giving.
So parents should not be scared.
They shouldn't be scared. So it is also going to be free.
Thank you.
When it gets to that point.
Okay, doctors, this is all we're going to do today. Time is not our friend. Dr. Queen, thank you. Dr. Chinelo, thank you. Prof,
one more thing. One more
Prof, time is up.
I know. But one more thing. Please. Now, for our 9-year-old girls, they will also offer HPV vaccine to prevent cervical cancer.
We'll come and talk about that HPV vaccine someday, because cervical cancer, for women to understand it, is very important.
Yes.
So find time to come and talk about
the vaccine is going to be given free of charge. So it's important during that 20th to 30th.
I care so much about our girl child. So the
9-year-old
HPV vaccine for 9-year-olds is free. And of course, the rubella and measles is also free.
9 months to 14 years.
Everything that you can do to protect our children, let's do it. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
All right.
ITV, certainly the best.
Ẹgbẹ̀túwà ọba àtọ́pẹ́. Ẹgbẹ̀túwà ọba àtọ́pẹ́. Ẹgbẹ̀túwà ọba àtọ́pẹ́ yìí.
Top on the list of the initiates was the eldest son of the Esama of Benin and former governor of Edo State, Chief Lucky Nosakare Igbenedion. 11 of his siblings, namely Bright Ayamekwe Igbenedion, Honorable Charles Osenwige Igbenedion, Peter Osawari Igbenedion, Dr. Fred Osanwi Igbenedion, Barrister Mike Osarene Igbenedion, Efosa Douglas Igbenedion, Ukbunwa Ernest Igbenedion, Osawe Igbenedion, Edosa Igbenedion, Dr. Daniel Omorige Igbenedion, Agbon Steve Igbenedion, as well as the Executive Director Operations, ITV and Radio, Chief Elder Ugbeide Nwonse. It was a vital aspect of Okada community's cultural heritage, which emphasized the significance of age, responsibility, and community service. Over 50 notable sons of Okada were also initiated. According to tradition and customs, those initiated, dressed in white traditional attire, were made to undergo some rituals while the Odionwe pronounces blessings on them and assisted them to take a seat with the elders.